What's good guys, Tiger here, back with another video. Today I have got a complete Dark Matter guide. In this video I'm going to give you all the tips you need for completing Dark Matter. Yes, this may be a bit late for some of you. I've completed Dark Matter for a few weeks now, however the game's only been out a couple of months and it's better late than never. So before I break down every segment of all the guns that you need to complete, here are a few quick tips that will help you on your painful journey. So in my personal opinion, I do believe that you should complete the most horrible, painful and horrific weapons first. So I recommend starting with the secondary weapons, maybe doing the combat knife, get them out the way, then maybe move on to the snipers, and then at least once you've got all of that done, you can just have fun enjoying using the tactical rifles, LMGs, assault rifles and SMGs. After all, those four classes are the easiest and most fun. You can just use them, just play normally and slowly get your KD and win-loss ratio back up and play like normal game modes. Because Dark Matter is just such a grind, I honestly believe if you just get the horrible bits out the way, then you won't be left with the daunting task of trying to complete the shotguns or just running around just completely getting smoked with the combat knife. Okay, so when you eventually get round to using the primary weapons, you want to complete the Helion launcher at the exact same time. Because the best way to complete the launcher is to use it with a half decent class at the same time. Because you'll find that a lot of the tips I'm going to give you is basically killing two birds with one stone. So what I mean by that is doing two tasks at once. Okay, next quick tip. When nearly completing Red Tiger, what is 100 headshots, you want to have both a 5 attachment class ready and a no attachment class ready to swap out immediately. So if you're in your game and you get your 100th headshot, what's the Red Tiger camo, you can just straight away go to your class and swap out another gun to complete the challenges. I am all about efficiency, so you want to make sure there is no time wasted when trying to complete this challenge. Always try and complete the purple hex camo first, what is use a gun with 5 attachments, over doing the mother of pearl challenge, what is the no attachment challenge. This is because if you are using the 5 attachments, you are more likely going to be able to complete all the other challenges, what is like the rapid kills, the long shots, the revenge kills, the bloodthirsties. If you've got a gun with more attachments, you're going to do a lot better than if you've got no attachments. So I always recommend completing that first. And then if you are the kind of person that prestiges your weapons, once you've completed that you can then prestige it and just use no attachments. Okay, so if you're close to completing a gun and getting gold on a weapon, make sure you've got the next gun ready to use straight away. So just like I said with the Red Tiger camo, you want to make sure you've got a class ready to go so there's just no time wasted, because if you complete this before and not in the middle of a game, you don't want the next game to start without you having your next class ready, because that'll be very annoying. Then you'll either have to back out or just play a game that's just completely wasted and not getting you any further to completing Dark Matter. Also, it can be very smart to save your prestige tokens for things that you really need. I used my tokens on Primary Gunfighter 3 so I could complete the 5 attachment challenge and a lot of the later weapons like the Swordfish, the Maddox, the Sorg and the VKM. Obviously, it just depends in whatever order you want to do the weapons. If you don't want to use prestige tokens because you're not using a certain order, that is fine. But it might be worth, when you prestige, just save your tokens until you feel like you really need them to complete a certain challenge. Because the Primary Gunfighter wildcard is something that you definitely need in order to fully complete any challenge. So if you're trying to complete any gun at the start of your prestige, you won't be able to do it until you've got Primary Gunfighter 1, 2 and 3. So unlocking that third one early could be really useful for you. Okay, so they are all my quick tips out of the way. Now let's move on to breaking down each of the classes. So let's first start off with SMGs. Okay, so completing the headshot challenges. You want to use high caliber whenever it's possible, and with those high fire rate weapons like your Cordite, your Spitfire, and sometimes your Sorg, you want to consider burst firing the weapon, especially if you're trying to go for those long ranges. I think Hardcore is a very good game mode for SMG headshots, because SMGs are slightly weaker than a lot of other classes in this game, like the assault rifles and the LMGs. The Spitfire and Cordite are specifically very hard, so you'll definitely want to play Hardcore for them. Maybe Hardcore Free-For-All or Control, in my opinion, is the best one for them. And you definitely want to burst fire with those weapons as well. Okay, so after you've completed the headshots, you won't need long shots, you'll need to get revenge kills Honestly, you get that naturally. That is just something that you get. So revenge kills is if you die, you then have to kill the person that then killed you. That is something, in my opinion, you don't even need to concentrate on. You don't need to waste any breath. You just need to play the game and you'll just naturally get those kills to complete that challenge. Now, the 50 kills with 5 attachments and an optic, and the 50 kills without any attachments at all is something I've already spoke about. Those are things where you want to complete the ones with the attachments first, get them out of the way, and then do the ones with the no attachments. And regarding the sights, you're always going to want to have something like an ELO sight. That'd probably be the best one. And then a reflex for the GKS. You might want a better scope for the GKS because it is basically an assault rifle, but those challenges are fairly easy. Another thing that you'll need to do is get rapid kills. So all you will need to do is play very aggressive, get into the enemy's base. You might want to use extended mags if you are struggling with your accuracy. And again, play hardcore as well if you're struggling, because you can easily get rapid kills if you're playing very aggressive and putting pressure on the enemy spawn. If the players spawn up, or also if you're flanking around the enemy, rapid kills should not be a problem. Now, the hardest challenge of them all is of course the bloodthirsties. Now, depending on your skill level in Call of Duty, this is something that you might just get naturally, or it might be something that is going to be a real pain for you. Some tips that might be able to help getting bloodthirsties is use things like Recon or Prophet. Recon will obviously give you the vision, and Prophet's Seeker Drone will allow you to get one very easy, simple kill. You'll also want the easy to get score streaks, so like the UAV or the counter UAV. The UAV is going to help you spot more people on the minimap, and the counter UAV will help you stay off the minimap and just disrupt the enemy team. And you're just going to want to keep playing your life, maybe play around your teammates to survive. And if you're not very confident, you might not want to push up too far, so you want to maybe stay on your side of the map. However, if you are feeling confident and you've got an aggressive play style, maybe keep trying to flank around the map, but don't stay in danger too long. Okay, so next up is assault rifles. Assault rifles, in my opinion, are the easiest to complete. There are so many great ones. You don't need to play hardcore unless you are using the piece of shit KN57. If you like that gun, that's absolutely great, but in my opinion, it is awful unless you're playing hardcore. It's a great hardcore gun, but awful core gun. It's just pathetically weak, in my opinion. So you're going to want to use attachments like high caliber when you can. You definitely want to make sure you're getting those easy headshots. You might want to stay away from high caliber too on weapons like the Rampart, because what you want is the extra damage to the head. You don't really care about doing damage to the chest. It's all about the head because you want those headshots. Now, when it comes to long shots are very frustrating. I'll link all the locations on the map that you'll need to do the long shots, but you literally just need to stay in those spots. If you're trying to do the long shots, and I recommend trying to do the long shots first, really try and get those long shots out of the way. But all you need to do is just sit in those line of sight and just wait and get that challenge done. It can be very hard. It's going to take multiple games. It is a bit of a drag, but that's what you need to do. Next up is the tactical rifles. So tactical rifles have very little recoil and they pretty much have high caliber all the time, so you want to constantly be using that. They're fairly easy to complete. There's only 3 of them. You might want to play hardcore if you have really bad aim, because they are quite skillful weapons, because you need to make sure you're hitting your shots. So if you do suffer with your aim, your consistent accuracy, they might not be the easiest. Next up is LMGs. LMGs are very strong in the game, especially the Titan. It's the best gun in the game. The Hades is probably the hardest to get headshots. However, in core, the recoil actually helped me a lot, and I was able to get Red Tiger really fast. The gun just naturally kicked up for me, and I was able to get headshots. The VKM has high caliber and has really good controllable recoil for those headshots, and again, you want to make sure you're using high caliber only. I'd be very surprised if you're having problems trying to complete the LMGs in this game. Okay, now we're moving on to sniper rifles, and this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky. If you want to get the bad ones out of the way, the sniper rifles is going to be something that you want to get out of the way very early. So for the Paladin, Outlaw and Koshka, you need to get one-shot kills, not headshots, but for the SDM you need to get headshots because it is pretty much a constant 2-shot kill, so trying to get one-shots with the SDM would just be absolute torture, so I'm really happy they changed that. So getting those one-shot kills is easy as fuck with the Koshka and the Paladin, very easy, you'll naturally get that. If you're a good sniper, you'll just absolutely breeze through this. However, you will definitely want to play hardcore for completing the one-shot Outlaw kills and the SDM headshots. Now you'll need to get long shots with the sniper rifles. This is a lot easier than trying to do it with the assault rifles and tactical rifles. Just sit in the same spots as before and use your good scope to get those kills. Now bloodthirsties is where it can get very hard. What I recommend is trying to play a traditional campy sniper style. You'll probably need a specialist like Crash or Torque to help you camp, and in my opinion Control is a good game mode to play. Something where the spawns are predictable and the same, and you know where the enemy locations are going to be. You're going to know where the enemies are going to be and where they're going to flank. Now, if you are in one spot for a very long time, you'll probably want to move as you are at risk of getting flanked or just getting pre-aimed. Okay, so that's primary weapons out the way. Now let's move on to secondaries. Now the pistols. The pistols are actually very, very fun. Let's first talk about the Strife. You'll want to play hardcore, and this is the best gun in the entire game for hardcore. It is the most fun I have ever had with any gun in any Call of Duty. I'm not even exaggerating. I have a video specifically on me using the Strife. I will link it now in the card above. You can watch that afterwards if you really want to complete the Strife. I had a lot of fun trying to complete that gun. You want to always use the scope and quick draw extended mags when trying to complete the headshots. You want to literally be pre-aiming and running around everywhere. Long shots, these aren't as hard as primary weapons. The long shots are actually really easy. If you have a good shot at medium distance, they count and you'll be able to complete long shots very, very quickly. Now, trying to complete bloodthirsties, if you followed my playstyle in the Strife video, that should definitely be able to help you complete it, as it will be a lot of fun. Okay, so the next weapon is the RK7. This is basically a shitty version of the Strife. It's possibly the worst burst fire pistol we have had in Call of Duty history. Normally they are just so much fun. In this it's horrible. You want to try and play it in a similar style to the Strife, but just understand it is a very, very bad gun, even in hardcore. So try and be careful not to rage. Okay, so next up is the mozu, and you'll definitely want to play core for this weapon, in my opinion. The mozu is up there with the Strife as one of the most fun weapons to complete, and I did a video on the mozu as well. It's a very underrated class if you want to go over to watch that, but I'll give you a quick rundown of what that class is. I used the operator mod, Skull Splitter, what means if you get a headshot on anyone, it is a instant kill. Then you'll want to use the scope, and you'll want to use the attachment that reloads your weapons instantly instead of one by one, and then you'll want to use stock as well. So we're pretty much loading this weapon up with attachments, and in my opinion that is definitely the way you want to go. You'll never need to hip fire again. You're just constantly running around this map pre-aiming. It's awesome, and this is great practice for aiming higher and getting headshots anyway. Honestly, completing headshots with the mozu while using my class should be an absolute breeze. Now, trying to complete the long shots with the mozu, you want to pretty much just treat it like the auger, the tactical rifle, but just be careful with the one taps. Remember, you are specifically just trying to aim for the head. You are constantly going to be using that operator mod. Now, when you have to complete the challenge with no attachments, you'll want to almost use this like a shotgun, and what I mean by that is just using your trigger finger at close range. You're going to have to reload pretty much after every single kill. It can be very hard. The reloading is probably the worst part of the mozu because you have to insert one bullet at a time, but if you treat it like a really short range weapon, just use it in bursts and then run away, I think you'll be able to get the bloodthirsties. Okay, so moving on to the shotguns. So the MOG 12. Again, you want to play hardcore. It's one-shot kills, so playing hardcore is perfect. Can be very hard, but play a very fast-paced, silent play style. So you'll want something like lightweight, ghosts, dead silence, and probably use ruin for using your grappling hook to get around the map faster and get up close and personal to the enemy. Now, the SG-12, you'll need headshots instead of the one-shot kills, so this can be actually a lot harder. In fact, it was very, very hard. So you'll probably want to use a similar setup and play style, but you'll need to use something like laser sight to tighten up your crosshairs and just aim specifically for the head. Now, before we move on to the combat knife, we have also got the Helion launcher, because completing the challenges all the way up to Red Tiger, all you need to do is just shoot down score streaks. What is extremely time consuming, but if you use the tip that I said at the start, what is complete the Helion launcher while you are completing your primary weapons, you should be able to get through it pretty fast. Also, if you use the engineer perk, you'll be able to see the enemy score streaks in the sky and you'll be able to complete it. Now, the other challenges, you'll have to take down specific score streaks like attack helicopters, that's fine, and mantises and sentry guns. There are also other challenges where you need to destroy tack deploys and razor wires and barricades. In my opinion, you're pretty much just going to be destroying razor wires. They are the easiest to destroy. So again, you'll just want to use your primary class. Whenever you see score streaks or enemies equipment, what you can see very easily if you're using engineer, the tack deploy is so easy to find and destroy if you're using engineer. It's perfect. It's a very underrated perk in the perk 1 category in my opinion. You'll be able to complete it. Now the hard part is actually getting kills with the launcher. This can be such a problem. Now in my opinion, you'll want to play free for all and just pretty much just max this class out. Use all the attachments you can. You will want a primary weapon just in case. However, if you've got the fast reloader and the extra ammo cache, you should be okay. You don't need to get that many kills, but just count down those kills in your head and it will be done soon, I promise. Okay, so we are now left with the final weapon, the last thing to complete to get that beautiful dark matter camo, and it is the dreaded combat knife. Now I could just talk to you about the combat knife, however I have already made a specific video on the combat knife to get gold on it. That way you'll be able to see gameplay of me using the combat knife and getting bloodthirsties with it, what is the hardest part. So if you're having problems completing the combat knife, please click on the card above and find that on my channel and you'll be able to complete the combat knife. Now that is everything that I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I really hope it helped you complete Dark Matter. Now if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, consider subscribing, turning on notifications to stay updated on all my latest content. But that is all from me. Take care guys and I'll see you in the next video.